What's up, guys? This is Justin. Thanks for checking out the channel. If you like what you watch and listen to, please feel free to like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. This is episode 16 of the podcast. It's Atul and I's take on the Infinity Gauntlet series. We're also going to be following up with episode 17, which is going to be kind of our thoughts and predictions on what's going to happen in the film. So we are planning on releasing that just before the film, probably on Thursday morning. We're going to follow that up with episode 18, which is going to be our actual take and review on the film Infinity War, Part 1. Again, thanks again for checking us out. Please feel free to put any comments. We're always listening for feedback. Check out the website, welcometoyourdoomshow.com. And that's enough plugging, I think, for right now. So, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to your doom.
I think we just started like to say hi. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? No, let's not do that.
This is Atul.
Justin, as you can see, I'm ready to go. We're talking the comic book series, the 8-part miniseries, The Infinity Gauntlet, which is kind of the precursor to the whole Marvel Studios Infinity War. And what you're... What?
Well, were you going to say precursor? I think it's the Infinity Gauntlet. I don't know. I think they've changed a lot of it for the movie.
Oh, good lord, yeah.
So, but I guess
Sorry,
like
did I
it's
say
sort of,
precursor?
Yeah. I think it's sort of like an adaptation.
Adaptation, that's what I
guess.
meant to say.
Yeah, I would say.
And I'm clearly wearing my my Infinity Gauntlet oven mitt. That is literally the thinnest oven mitt in the world. It's useless. This thing, if I tried using it, and I almost dropped the fucking pot I was holding on to because it's so thin. So it's done nothing but sit in my office. In fact, it's a cover for the microphone we're using. And, well, it's getting some use today.
Well, yes.
I'm going to wear it the whole time.
Yes.
And drinking my beer is a task because my hand is way too big for this. This thing was made for like a child.
It's going to slip right out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Please don't do that. So here's the book here.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can actually see it. If you're listening, you can't.
You cannot see it,
just
but you
picture...
can hear this. I am holding a book. Yeah, so we can get started. I think I like this cover.
The cover's good.
It's good cover.
And I think they just redid it for the actual for the trade paperback.
Yeah, and the movie's coming out soon, so that's kind of what prompted this. Like, I don't think either of I hadn't read this story ever.
I read it. I think I read it about 6 to 8 months ago when I actually bought this because I think it was on. I saw it at a local comic shop and picked it up from there. I just picked up a few books that day, which was. And I saw this and was like drawn to it. I was like, yeah, it'd be good to kind of know what they're leaning towards. I mean, they started the whole path in the first Avengers film and for introducing Thanos. And I really didn't know enough about Thanos in the Marvel universe at that time, so drew me to this, and I'm glad I did.
The extent of my knowledge of Thanos is I used to use him in Capcom 2, Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Jesus. Yeah,
and he could be a beast in that game. So that's pretty much all I knew about Thanos, and the fact that his conception as a character came from like being a direct ripoff of Darkseid.
Yeah.
Like I think that's kind of a well-publicized secret, which is like his character started off as sort of like a Darkseid clone.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, let's find out what this shit is about, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Infinity Gauntlet, in which Thanos slaps on a glove and gives this universe a cosmic enema.
Is that what they do with it? No, they have instruments for enemas.
Well, yeah. He has the Infinity Gauntlet.
The Infinity Enema?
The Infinity Enema. An enema that never ends.
Ooh.
Anyway, this
Do you think you'd be able to get on your day?
Infinity Enema. The Infinity Enema. Right. So it's written by Jim Starlin, and pencilers are George Pérez and Ron Lim. George Pérez, obviously a really famous artist for DC and Marvel. On the DC side, he did Crisis on Infinite Earths, and Marvel. He's obviously done a lot of the cosmic stuff, but Infinity Gauntlet, I think, is one of his big ones. But he only draws the first 4 issues.
Yeah.
Another artist takes over, Ron Lim, and there's a noticeable change. Like when I was reading this in the last 2 issues. And, I sort of read up on what it was about. We can get into that a little bit later. But, so that's the creative team. There's a whole slew of inkers here that I'm not going to go into. But, that's an important job, too. I feel like inkers and colorists get the sort of
they
shaft.
They do get the shaft.
Like
they never. Nobody talks about inkers. It's like the bassist in a band. Nobody gives a fuck.
That's right. It's really
but inkers
thankless job.
It'd be all black and white without you.
That's right. Well, all inkers only deal
they're the ones
black
with
and white.
That's right. Actually, I'm thinking
You
of
are
the
the
colorists. Yeah, those guys are also unsung heroes.
That's right.
Nobody talks about the colorists.
That's right.
But
true.
the inkers. I mean, I feel like to be an inker in like the 90s was like the heyday of inking. I'm gonna call it inking.
Yeah, well,
I feel like speech bubbles back then were.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They do a lot with the bubbles.
Yeah.
And
in this
stuff,
series especially, some of it's pretty well used.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So first thing I want to talk about this story is the cover. I think this is an amazing cover. I love this cover. Yeah, exactly. Almost. You almost got it. This cover is drawn by Pérez. It's kind of a wraparound cover showing like all of the players in the book. So it does grab your attention. The Infinity Gauntlet itself looks fucking cool as shit. It really does.
Yeah.
This story was published in the early 90s, I think,
91.
like 91?
Yep.
Okay. So the book starts off with Thanos standing on a rock with Mephisto, and he's already got the gauntlet.
It basically,
right?
I think it's the culmination of a story arc called, what was it? The Thanos Quest or something like that, where he's basically going after the Infinity Stones and putting together the gauntlet. So
that's right. Yeah.
They jump right in. It's an interesting concept because like I didn't have enough backstory before then, but really you don't need it. I mean, Thanos is that bad of a character in a sense that you just know by looking at him like, oh shit, like something's about to go down. And then when you understand, you grasp the whole concept of the Infinity Gauntlet, what it can do, you're just like, shit, like, okay.
Yeah, they do put that on display here. So
immediately.
Mephisto is here. I don't know a lot. So here's the other thing I want to preface this. I'm not a Marvel reader. So, and when I say that, I mean, like, I read Marvel comics. I collected in the 90s, but I was definitely more of a DC kid growing up. So a lot of these characters I just know by name, or I've seen them in certain stories that I've read in the past. Mm-hmm. But a lot of these characters are newish to me. Like Mephisto, I know who he is, but I don't really know what he can do or where his place is in sort of the Marvel pantheon of characters. Mm-hmm. But somehow Mephisto is with Thanos, and he's got this Infinity Gauntlet, and he destroys a rock. And that's pretty much the intro to the story.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was to say Mephisto's kind of like it's almost like he's bearing witness to most of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
But he knows that he's in some shit. You know what I mean? Like letting Thanos kind of run wild the way that he can and probably will. Seems like he's got ulterior motives as to being so friendly with him to start. So
yeah, makes sense. Then we shift over to Doctor Strange's study, where this is a really cool image of Doctor Strange floating and like not
having
sitting in a chair and having a coffee, just like reading. And the Silver Surfer just like bursts into the room, and the Surfer is
upset.
To
say he's basically he knows that Thanos is coming, you can say, and he has really, really bad motives. So basically, in order to appease his long-loved Death, the Mistress Death, I think they just keep referring to her as, at some point she had tasked him with essentially eradicating half the life in the entire universe.
Yeah, so like the balance of the number of living beings was more than the number of dead or something like that. Yeah. And she's like, there's an imbalance. Like, we need to correct this.
Yeah, we need to basically get rid of half of the universe. And the Surfer is... I don't know if he's 100% aware of the plot, but he's aware enough that he knows that something needs to be done, and that's why he goes directly to Strange.
Yeah, but he attacks, like, he has a little flashback where he attacks Thanos with Drax. And they both get...
I think they get
defeated, but they get thrown into something.
The Infinity Stone, basically.
Yeah, they get cast into the Infinity Stone, where Surfer, I think,
the Mind Gem, I think.
He runs into
the Soul Gem.
The Soul Gem, and he runs into Adam Warlock, who gets him out of there. Another character who is very prominent in this series.
I'd say he's the main protagonist.
Yeah, exactly. He's like sort of leading all of the heroes and doing all of the exposition. I'd say. Yeah. So Meanwhile, Thanos is, while Strange and Surfer are catching up, Thanos is, trying to woo his lady.
Yeah.
Lady Death. And then we get to a random panel where I was like, I thought there was something wrong with my copy of the book, my digital copy of the book, because it just goes into some random nonsense.
Yeah.
Which I had no. Actually, this starts before that over here, where it goes from Doctor Strange and Silver. Like I love when they draw superheroes just chilling in living rooms.
Especially when they're naked.
Yeah, they're naked
silver
and silver.
beings
Yeah, they're just
on a couch.
He's on a couch with his hand on his head. I'm like, what? It's just like so strange. Anyway, and then it goes to this guy smoking.
Yeah.
Over here, saying, and I quote, "They were all grade A losers." And then it goes to some weird, I don't know if this is a flashback or just a bunch of guys who knocked off a liquor store and are escaping, and then they crash, and then the story picks up a few pages later where 3 stars come down from the sky and take over their bodies, and they go to a motel, and one of them starts turning green, and another one gets put into a cocoon. Like, this is where I was deathly confused.
Yeah.
I thought I was reading a different book.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on there. Do you have any idea?
Yeah.
What was going on there?
It took same thing. I was reading it, and I was reading the physical copy, so I was even more confused. I was like, did somebody splice in a motherfucking? Like, I didn't understand. But what it was those people were essentially just random off characters. I can't even remember their names, but they were making a getaway or they were driving. They all died. Now, at this point, the souls of Adam Warlock, Gamora, and the little elf guy, I can't remember his name, but of those 3 characters...
Oh, that was Gamora.
That was Gamora.
That's why she starts turning green.
Exactly. So they end up inhabiting the bodies of those 3 people, and then they're like, we're dead. Like, we're walking zombies right now.
Yeah.
We need to go somewhere so we can fix ourselves.
Yeah.
And, not be a problem. So one of them, I think it was actually Warlock that was in the least duress of a body. They go to this hotel and they set up shop, and then Warlock goes into his little cocoon thing to be able to.
So that is Warlock.
That is Adam Warlock.
It never actually says.
No,
that
I know.
anywhere.
He just kind of appears, and then all of a sudden there's a cocoon. It's just very strange. But yeah,
it's just I would classify this as just like awful storytelling. I think I generally liked this book.
Yeah.
And by the way, we went right into the plot and the story because this book is like it's from 91.
Yeah.
So no non-spoiler review for this. We're just going to jump right into it. This is the part of the story, like one of the knocks on the story I had. I think I generally liked it, but I had no idea what was going on, and I don't know where Adam Warlock came from.
Yeah.
This sort of explains that storyline, and it shows, like, Gamora shows up at the end of this, and that little elf guy becomes, like, important and having dialogue scenes, and I'm like, I have no idea, who these people are.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just my issue because this is the second story in like a 4-part series? There's like the Infinity Crusade and the other story, or maybe it's the first one because there's a sequel to this.
Yeah.
And then there's a sequel to that sequel.
Yeah.
Infinity Crusade and Infinity War, right? I think Infinity War is next, and then Infinity Crusade is after that. There are other big series, but I haven't read anything.
Yeah.
So I have no idea. And I think they do a pretty good job of keeping me sort of involved, except for that.
Yeah.
Like that was completely random.
I agree. It really came out of nowhere, especially if you don't have enough history on those characters and what they do. It could be very jarring. And it was, because I didn't have it at that time either.
Right.
I had to read up on it. I read up on it after and kind of put the pieces together when I reread it.
Right.
And just figured out kind of what was going on. But yeah, it was really distracting.
Yeah. So anyway, these 3, like Gamora, the little elf guy, and Adam Warlock, come hurtling out of the stone, take over these bodies, and then Adam Warlock ends up talking to Doctor Strange. But before that, we get more of like the teen drama that is like Thanos trying to impress his lady friend.
That is the best way to describe it, as a teen drama.
Yeah, it's truly like really it's comedic to like read some of this stuff.
Thanos' motivations are interesting because it is very much it's very childish. He's constantly trying to like win the heart of this lady. This lady being the mistress, the person or the entity that controls death across the entire cosmos.
Yeah.
He's constantly trying to win her favor, but he's doing it in such childish ways. Like, oh, you want me to do that for you? Okay, I'll kill half the universe. Snap.
Yeah.
Okay, and now look, I've made you this big shrine. Oh, that's
yes.
Oh, but you don't like me? Okay, then I'm gonna go and do this. And like it's just
he's so childish.
Extremely childish.
I'm not sure if that was the intention or not, but it does keep it. Just it's
consistent.
amusing.
It's amusing and it's consistent.
He's consistent. It is consistent.
Yeah,
so.
like his motivations are clear at all times. It seems like he's always been a nihilist. He's always looking for chaos and wanting to take over and achieve ultimate power.
Right.
But till the end his end is really to be able to court death. Like that's what he wants to do.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's interesting to tie it back to the Avengers. That was his major motivation, or so it seemed, at the end of the Avengers, because the witness, or I can't remember what the lackey was called, but he said something like to challenge Earth is to court death, and that's when he turns around to the camera and smiles, right? So it's like there's clearly something there. I don't know how they'll do it in the movie, but anywho, back to the book.
Yeah, this shrine. So we should talk about George Perez's art here because he's amazing. Like some of this stuff is it's hyper detailed.
Yeah.
And one of his big claims to fame is crowds.
Yeah.
Crowds of recognizable characters. Mm-hmm. And we definitely get that later when like the entire roster of, the Marvel universe gets together and fights Thanos multiple times. But, like even these two panels here I thought were really impressive.
Yeah.
The shrine he builds for death, seeing like, see, I built you a shrine.
Yeah.
Love me. And she doesn't say a word. She doesn't speak at all, and I think he gets enraged by that fact. But Perez's art is really, really good.
I will say this: Death is a bit of a bitch.
Yeah.
Right?
She just kind of like she's not having any of it, and it's not really explained.
No,
because she asked him to do some that's the other thing that's really unclear. Like she tasked him with this job, but and he does it. Or he gets the stones and becomes more powerful, and then she doesn't like him anymore. I don't know if she ever speaks. Maybe that's her thing in the books, like in the Marvel universe, she doesn't talk. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is, but
no, she talks. There've been panels of her speaking at some point. I can't remember if she talks or not in this book.
Right.
I think later at the end she might. But in any case, let's give a brother a hint.
Yeah, I know that's
she could have saved a lot of the trouble by just being like, "Hey, listen,
that's right.
You don't have to do all that."
And I like Mephisto, just like his bro friend trying to speak into talking in his ear. He's like, "Hey man, you should try this. Girls are like this. You should do this. You should buy her flowers."
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing where he's just like, it's just kind of silly, like this silly sort of high school romance.
Yeah.
On like a homicidal galactic scale, but the other thing that happens here that is super interesting to me, and I thought was really kind of dark, was Thanos. I don't know if she's alive or dead in the books. Like he summons his granddaughter Nebula.
Yeah.
But she's in this state where he's trying to impress Death. He's like, "Hey, look at this piece of art I've created," and it's Nebula in this state of charred state on the brink of life and death in like excruciating pain.
Yeah.
Like walking pain, basically.
She wasn't having any of that.
No, she was
Death
not.
was not impressed.
And Death was like, I've had better.
See, and like all she had to do was like, you know what? That's not cool, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Be a little straight up with it. Tell him exactly what, you know what? Put a little more skin on her. Make her not, on fire. That would be nice. She doesn't need to be in pain. Oh, okay, click. And then all of a sudden you've got a relationship starting, potentially.
There we go. So I thought this was really dark, where he's keeping her alive and she's in constant pain. It's just kind of like it's pretty brutal. And then he gets into the whole
snappy snap.
Yeah,
that's when it happens.
Never snap your fingers when you're wearing the gauntlet. Look what you've done.
I can't. I literally, it's not working.
He does like a cosmic wide cleanse.
Yeah.
Where he eliminates, and again, this is all to court Mistress Death. he basically eliminates half the people.
Yeah. In one go.
Universe.
And it's not like a big monumental thing. It's just all of a sudden they were there, and then all of a sudden they're not.
Yeah.
And it's brutal, man. Like, I just saw the panel pass. You've got, like, mothers and children, like, wheeling their baby, and then all of a sudden the baby's gone, but the mother's still there, and she's just screaming.
Yeah, this panel, I was like, whoa.
There's a lot of stuff in this book.
Tonally, the book is really all over the place.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like, some of it is kind of like goofy.
Yeah.
And then you have scenes like this where the mother's like, where's my baby?
Yeah. It's
like,
really
wow,
dark at times, and then just kind of standard 90s comic book stuff at times, too.
That's right. Yeah. It's it's strange. Yeah. So then a lot of people disappear.
Yeah. Basically, book 2 really catalogs kind of the effect of what this looked like, this snapping incident, what it looked like in on Earth. So all of a sudden, a bunch of the Avengers disappear. People are disappearing all across New York, etc.
That's right. Yeah, and it's not just there. They show
the whole world,
the universe,
whole universe.
Basically, people disappearing, and even the Chitauri and like all of them, like everywhere in the universe, like half the people have disappeared.
Right.
So planes are crashing on Earth, and like there's a scene here where I don't even know who Quasar is, but he shows up with this floating swamp thing like head. He has his companion, not really sure what's going on there, and then get back into these great
Surface
panels,
is chilling, man.
These great panels, like back in Doctor Strange's like living room, where the Silver Surfer's like crashing on the couch, and it just looks really funny. I can't stop looking at that. I think that's hilarious.
It's had a hard day. Sometimes you got to kick up with your feet up, man.
Yeah. So the Adam Warlock contacts Doctor Strange, and they come up with this plan.
Yeah.
This is one of my other big beefs with this story. Same thing with Star Wars, where it's like, we got this plan, but we're not going to tell you, and we don't really have a good reason for keeping it from you.
I will say this. There is a good reason to keep that stuff from him, because there's only one person, maybe two, I don't know if he can shield his mind or not, but there's only one person who Thanos won't read the mind of, and that's Adam Warlock. That's one thing that you got to note.
Why? Did they say that?
That's something. So I read about that after, but it's something to do with the way that they both perceive the universe. So I don't think that they.
Oh, you know what? That sounds familiar. That may have actually been.
But
in the
basically,
book.
Thanos won't read his mind.
Right.
They say that in this. I don't know if they really elaborate on it.
Right.
But so yeah, that's kind of the reason why they keep some of the specifics of the plan to themselves.
Right, and then Doctor Doom shows
up. Fuck Doctor Doom. Basically,
Doctor Doom becomes a hero in this, like that.
He's never a hero, though, man. And the heroes keep bringing him in. They're like, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's such a bad idea.
Yeah, and we'll get to some of the crazier moments later in the book that just make me laugh. Whenever I read them, I think they're hilarious. But Doctor Doom gets involved, I'm assuming that he's, he is a leader, so he has a stake in, preserving the universe.
He's also a doctor. Anyways, so
That's
Thanos
true.
goes over to Titan.
That's
he
true.
abducts him. Well, he ends up grabbing his brother. What's his brother's name again?
Eros?
Eros?
Yeah, Eros.
Anyways, he grabbed...
Okay, can we just talk about Drax for a minute?
Oh, how... Yeah, go ahead.
So, I had no idea who that was until someone referred to him as Drax the Destroyer.
True.
And I had never seen Drax in the comics, ever. My first exposure to Drax was the Guardians of the Galaxy film. He looks fucking ridiculous in this book. It's so... He looks like a giant Green Goblin.
It's like if they merged together the Green Goblin, Martian Manhunter, and Liberace. And they put them all together, and they're like, this guy... We're going to call him the Destroyer.
Yeah. It's crazy. It was really... I don't know how long he looked like that in the books. I don't know.
They revamped him at some point before the movies where he had all the scars and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, he's always been kind of a big green bad man.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's that. So I just kind of like that happened a lot in this book because I hadn't, like I said, the context wasn't there. So I'm like, oh, that's Drax.
Yeah, okay. Drax looks ridiculous.
There we go. So Eros, I do recognize this guy. He has some mind manipulation powers. If I remember.
He basically can coerce people into doing whatever he wants.
Right. So
one of his things.
He gets dragged to Thanos's Thanos's like homicidal family reunion, and he removes his mouth.
Yeah.
Thanos is like because he has these coercion powers. Thanos removes his mouth, but then he also proceeds to like do insane shit to him.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire story. But it's always happening, like, in the background.
Yeah.
He's like, Thanos is just chilling, talking, and in the background, like, Eros, his brother, is being, like, molested by, like, some kind of, like, tentacle monster, or, like, he's, like, being cut into little strips. It's like this weird comedy thing that's happening in the background.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, what's, like, between that and his granddaughter, Nebula, I'm like, this is just like really.
He's a sick bastard.
He's a sick man, and it's just like, and it's like tonally, like a lot of this stuff doesn't line up.
Yeah.
Because there are no consequences, and it kind of just removes all of the because like when these characters come back, they're like not hurt, they're not talking about the pain, like they're just they just come back and they're normal, kind of thing. So it kind of removes all of that. Also, there is a hero named Night Thrasher. And a hero named Box.
No.
His name is Box.
That's an unfortunately named character.
Yeah.
Also a very lazily named character.
Yeah.
But
Who
all
are
those
you?
people
I am the Box.
Fuck's your power. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Go home, you're drunk.
The reason I know that is because Captain America's calling in the reserves.
Yeah.
To help handle this crisis.
How is Puck a reserve? He's a short little Frenchman. That's all. Yeah. That's his power is to like flip around and be 4 foot nothing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? That's it.
I don't know. I think he's strong and stuff, but yeah, he's just a tiny little fast dude. I think he's French Canadian. I'm not sure.
So then you get all of the. Another thing I thought was really cool was
the old gods.
Yeah, the old gods there, like Odin and Zeus and.
Got some of the Egyptians.
Tezcatlipoca, the Aztec god, Svarog,
mouthful.
Russia, Manitou, an American Indian spirit, and Nuada. Like, there's a bunch of here, and it's pretty great. Like, they get together, but then they're rendered useless almost instantly. So this panel, like, doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
It's kind of like that in a lot of, like, even some of the...
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll get into that. So, Doom shows up. Doom randomly shows up. Everyone's coming to Doctor Strange's house.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of company.
Yeah, it's a busy... it's a good thing he lives in a really nice place upstate.
That's true. That's true. I mean, he wouldn't be able to house all of these heroes.
No.
I feel like it's that scene from The Hobbit where all the dwarves keep showing up at Bilbo's house and he can't stop them from coming in. And they're eating all of his food and stuff. So, like, Doctor Strange is like, I don't have enough food for all you assholes. Doom has... Doom shows up, finds Silver Surfer crashing on the couch.
Brings a bucket of chicken.
Yeah, that's right.
Brought some KFC, guys. We good?
And then they have this fight, and basically Adam Warlock shows up, and he's like, guys, cut that shit out. Here's the panel I was talking about, Arrows.
Yeah.
Like, being molested by, like, a tentacle monster.
Yeah, that was horrible.
It's just like, they're both, actually. It's happening to
Nebula's in on the fun, too.
Yeah, and it's just, like, brutal.
Yeah.
But, the problem is that it looks brutal and it's really dark, but then you get the thought bubbles, which we don't get today. We usually get nowadays, like modern comics don't use thought bubbles anymore. I don't know if you noticed that.
I've noticed it.
But we get caption blocks, basically, which people are thinking. Here, there are actual thought bubbles. Like, after being, completely gored by this weird tentacle monster thing, he's thinking to himself. He's like, by the heavens, Thanos' newly acquired power has obviously deranged him. Not a word about what just happened to him.
Yeah, he's just that was tough. Now let's talk.
Let me just brush that off and keep going. So at one point it's dark, but at the second there's no payoff. Like there's like nobody's in pain or nobody's like, oh my god, this is horrific.
It seems like a minor inconvenience.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's like oh, I've got to do this now for a little bit, get destroyed by the tentacle monster, but then I have a moment to think to myself later with no consequences. So yeah, I do like the idea of Thanos trying to impress death with feats of pain and all of that, but this kind of like deflates that a little bit. Just makes it less deranged.
I stand by the fact that the real villain of this tale is death.
Yeah.
All she needs to do is communicate.
Yeah.
Her say something.
Yeah, her motivations are unclear. I don't really understand her motivations. I don't know. He like he turns like Arrows into like
having a bad day,
into like a film strip,
And he doesn't look upset about it. Well, you know what? He can't scream. That's one thing. The mouth, the way you draw somebody's mouth can really dictate a lot about what kind of situation they're in.
That's true. And you remove that, and yeah. That's true.
You can see shaky hands and shit, but yeah. In any case, he's had better days.
Right. And
this is where that's where I think so. Thanos at this point, he got really pissed off that Death was still giving him kind of the cold shoulder. And then he basically lets out this galactic blast everywhere.
Hissy fit.
This galactic hissy fit is a good way to put it. That ends up basically putting this huge ripple that'll destroy planets and shit. By the time it hits Earth, it'll be like 2% of its power. It'll be much more subdued.
That's right.
But it's enough that when it hits Earth, it starts dropping buildings and like
tsunamis and
it's crazy. It basically screws up the Earth. And you've got heroes across the globe trying to deal with the fallout, trying to rescue people, trying to help anybody that they can. Right. And you get some really interesting and really dark panels where you've got like, some of the lesser heroes in terms of their abilities to be able to deal with the situation where they simply are doing all that they can. So like you've got Black Widow trying to save people, that are in these buildings that are coming down. And she actually almost gets somebody, but then the building collapses and the person goes down and probably dies on impact or burns to death or something horrible. But it's showing like just the gravity of the situation and the fact that like there's some stuff that's going to be happening that you can't prevent.
That's right. Yeah, and this shockwave locks all of these mythological beings in Asgard, so they can't help. So that's the end of that.
Yeah.
And it shows, it shows a lot of things happening across the world that are horrific, and tons and millions of people are dying. A lot of doom and gloom stuff here. And what do we get to? What happens next?
Well, basically, I think the next major portion of this is when they start getting the band back together.
It's like
he's just
it's like randomly like Thanos is like monologuing and like horrific things are happening to his brother at the side of the panel. And he's getting turned into ribbons and he's like being chopped up and he's being like attacked and it's just kind of.
And what's interesting too is Mephisto keeps seeing kind of where Thanos is going and what's happening and all the little things. I think there's a couple of good panels with his expression on it, and he's basically like, "Oh shit, this is bad."
Yeah.
And he kind of plays a pivotal role later on in the story in terms of helping to bring Thanos down a level.
That's right.
So yeah, we'll get to that. But at this point, I think this book goes into kind of like the roll call, like who's left.
Yep.
Who can we like? Let's assemble a team. Doctor Doom's still instrumental in.
That's right. Doom is still.
I still think he's a bad idea.
Yeah, of course. But then they pull all these heroes together, and they're all in Doctor Strange's living room. And
that's the best part.
Yeah, they're all just like this living room is being destroyed by these people as more and more people come in, and he's just thinking about like who's gonna clean this shit up.
Who's gonna clean this shit up? Worrying about like maybe the floor might collapse. We're on the fourth floor right now. The Hulk's here. Drax is pretty big.
Yeah, that's
Iron Man's suit weighs an enormous amount.
That's right.
There's some useless people on that team.
Yeah.
Maybe not useless, but I'm just going to say Namor should have been there.
Yeah. Do you say Namor?
I say Namor and I say Namor. I go back and forth. And I'm pretty sure it's pronounced properly as Namor.
We'll get back to Namor in a minute. He has a really great panel that I think is just hilarious. It's hysterical. It makes me laugh. Let's talk about these. So Warlock has got this plan.
Yeah.
Right? And he's bringing all these heroes together. It's like, okay, look. Thanos eliminated 50% of the universe, living life on the universe. We're going to go and we're going to attack him. But he has this plan knowing that these heroes don't stand a chance. The demonstrations this book does of the power of the Infinity Gauntlet is actually like, it's to the point where it's complete, like where do you go from here?
Yeah.
There's no, that's the ceiling. Like you can't, he's controlling everything. Literally snapping his fingers and things are happening. So these heroes don't stand a chance, and he knows that. Yeah. Adam Warlock knows that, but he has this other plan. He goes to the Celestials. I guess that's who these guys are.
Yeah, they're basically like
astral deities.
The astral deities. They're basically like forces of nature. So you've got Galactus, you've got the Celestials who are like planet.
Sorry, Celestials are a subgroup.
They're a subgroup of that. Then you've got like the Eternity, I think, and Love and Hate, and like you've got all these. Basically, they're almost like living concepts in the universe, right?
The Living Tribunal. I love these names. The cosmic judge of all realities. And this is great cosmic like writing. Yeah. I just love it. It's like that's kind of like why I had fun with this book, because it and that's why I like Jack Kirby's The Fourth World stuff. And, it's just this cosmic writing. It's just so fun to read, and it's actually fun to read. Thanos is sort of like waxing philosophical about like life and death and all of that stuff. It's this highbrow writing, but in this crazy cosmic comic book universe, and I think the two just like go like together like peanut butter and chocolate. So it's like it does work well together. Like look, like for example, the astral deity named Eternity is like literally the universe.
Yeah.
Like, where are all of these other people just standing around if Eternity is like over here?
Eternity's letting everybody be there.
Yeah,
he's like Doctor Strange in his house, except his house is everything.
It's everything. That's right. Exactly.
Big ass house.
Exactly. It's just I find the concepts are so crazy, and like a lot of people, like Jim Starlin does that, but Grant Morrison also does that insane level of like high concepts cosmic stuff, and it works really well here. It's really fun. And the Watcher, what's his name? Uatu, right? So they have this discussion where Adam Warlock is trying to convince these deities to help. The Tribunal is like, nope. He leaves.
Yeah,
he's the one guy that could have like just turned this thing off. And he doesn't, because it's like the natural. I guess it's like the natural progression.
Right.
But a lot of them choose to side with Warlock. Some of them do not. But
I like to, because like at first, Warlock's not really well known. I find in the Marvel universe, not a lot of people give him a lot of slack or give him a lot of respect, I guess, off the bat.
Sure.
Galactus looks at him and he's like, "You mother," and he just blasts him.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden it's like he's fucking with him. He's like on his head. He's like, "All right, aren't you done? Like I expected more from you, Galactus. Come on, buddy."
That's right.
So yeah, there's a couple of good panels here where it really kind of gives the character more credibility as a force to be reckoned with, or somebody that knows his stuff well enough.
That's right.
I mean, he's he's kind of like the Lord of the Soul Stone, which is quite a huge deal. So
that's right.
He should be.
I'm a huge deal in the Soul Stone.
Kind of a big deal.
I'm kind of a big deal in the Soul Stone.
Yeah,
I'm big in the Soul Stone.
So that was an interesting thing to see him essentially almost bossing around these concepts.
Right.
They're barely even characters. They're like concepts of fucking existence.
Yeah, exactly. So he gets these guys together, and they have this funny panel later of the Hulk and Wolverine just sitting on the roof chatting, which I thought was kind of funny. But Adam Warlock separates these two from all the other heroes, and he's like, "Look, guys, we need to kill Thanos.
Yeah.
So you two guys are the ones capable of ending him. So if you get the chance, kill the shit out of this guy."
Kill him.
And I like the Hulk's line here, where he says, "I'm trying to find it." Hulk's like, "You're a bit of a monster yourself, aren't you, Goldilocks?" And he's talking to Adam Warlock, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of funny," because like Warlock's being like, "Hey, we need to kill this guy, and you guys need to be the ones to do it because you're capable of doing it." And and then we're sort of back to the Thanos courting show where he's like, it's like the Bachelorette, where she's like, he's just trying to like impress her. Death, and out of sheer childishness, he's like, "Oh, if you're not going to love me, then I'm going to create someone who will."
Someone who will being this character. What's her name? Taraxia?
Yeah.
Basically a female version of him.
Yeah, I mean, not particularly good looking. I mean, I would have gone a different way with that.
Maybe. I mean, but literally, like, it's him
I like the big
as
hair,
a
though.
female.
Yeah.
It's very masturbatory.
Yeah. He's a narcissist, sort of, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I like to see these panels here where she's like loving him, like his new creation. She's like loving him and like kissing him, and he's just looking over, watching Death.
Yeah.
And Death just like walks away.
Yeah.
And he's getting more angry.
It's funny because it's so childish, but it's so consistent with the character as he's portrayed. I thought it was hilarious at first, but the more I started thinking about it, I'm like, that's kind of brilliant.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the one, I feel like it's the one thing that could upset Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
and like get in the way and be his hubris is that. But like the way it's presented, it's like presented in like he's just a child.
Yeah, he's
and I
being
think
a
that's
big
what they were
baby.
going for.
Yeah,
it does play a little. It can be comedic at times,
right?
Unintentionally so. And so then basically, Adam Warlock sends all of these heroes to fight Thanos, and they all show up in this great 2-page splash here.
Yeah.
Where Thanos is just standing there. And then we get the best image in the book. Come and get me. This is the cover of the 4th issue. And it's just Thanos standing in space with his hands out like this, looking like he's about to tickle you. And he says, come and get me. So this is the first of several like superhero beatdowns, basically, right? And has the funniest panel because the first 4 heroes to attack Thanos when they warp to his death planet or death temple is Thor. This guy was like Fire Lord, who's I guess the new Herald of Galactus in this. Or
he was an old one.
He was an old one.
Yeah.
And Iron Man and Namor. Like, all these guys shoot stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so Thor throws his hammer, Firelord shoots like a flame, and like, Iron Man shoots his blasters, and Namor just diving at him. Yeah! He looks like he's diving, like this is the panel I thought was like, because he looks like he's diving off of the diving block and into a pool. He's like, okay, I don't have any projectiles. I'm just going to use myself.
Yeah.
And he goes diving into him, and I thought that was really funny because then Namor just disappears for a little while. Because
I don't think that attack went well for him. It wasn't really good planning
on
his part.
Not in the least. He demonstrates, like Thanos demonstrates the power of the gauntlet by just all these heroes show up, they're about to attack him, and he just freezes everybody.
Yeah.
In time. And they're all frozen and can't move. So the power of this gauntlet is really being put on display in this book. Like they're going no holds barred. There's nothing he can't do.
And this is where Mephisto shines because
this is great. I
Mephisto
actually really like
at this point he's a sly devil. He's trying to get exactly what he wants, which his motivations aren't really clear in this book, but he just wants to survive, and he doesn't think that with Thanos running things with the Infinity Gauntlet he will. So he ends up basically
coercing. He wants it for himself. Everybody wants the gauntlet.
That's
right?
At the end of the day, that's everybody's motivation, I would think, especially like of the evil doers. But in any case, he basically convinces him in order to say, hey, Death, look at what he's doing. He's basically telling him, why don't you just, basically fight with one arm tied behind your back.
Give her a show.
Give her a show. Only use the Power Stone or whatever.
Yeah, it's like only use he said, use your powers, but cut off the input from all the stones. So it's like he doesn't know what people are going to do. He doesn't know what they're going to be thinking. So he cuts off that that stream of information that he's got. So he basically fights like a normal person would fight. But he's super powerful because he has the gauntlet.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have that insight.
Yeah.
Right? And the power to change things.
Basically, don't be omnipotent. Go out there and fight him as you would. That way you'll look courageous.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And he does that, and you get this fight where he he basically gets attacked by all of the heroes, unfreezes everyone, gets attacked by all the heroes, and defeats them sort of 2 or 3 at a time. This panel is really funny too. It looks like chest hair.
Chest hair, yeah.
Like
I thought the same thing too.
Yeah, and anyway, so he actually butchers a lot of these heroes.
Yeah. People die.
Yeah, people die, and but he is surprised during this combat. That's what I kind of like. Like he does get beaten down a little bit, but in the end he prevails.
Right.
And he turns like
Wolverine, and basically all of his bones turn to like rubber or dust or something. So he looks like a rubber suit. Yeah. His skin. Oh, and meanwhile, so Adam Warlock and Silver Surfer are like way on the distance.
One light
year. Yeah.
One light year watching this happen.
And just watching it all happen. And basically Silver Surfer doesn't even know why he's there. It's like, I should be helping, man. And Warlock's just like, yeah, listen, let these guys all die first because they have no chance. and then I'll tell you what to do. And Surfer's just, they're basically not happy about that whole decision.
Yeah, I do think Adam Warlock's kind of a dick. Dude, he's like, just chill. We're gonna watch all these guys die first, and then I'll tell you what to do right when you need it. If this whole mind reading thing is real, like I not whether it's real, I mean, I don't know if it was presented in the book as that being a reason. And maybe I missed it. I don't know.
It's somewhere in there because he basically gives a reason as to why he can't reveal his plan. But basically, the whole idea there is wait until Thanos is distracted.
Yeah.
And then send in the Surfer to take the gauntlet.
Take the gauntlet, yeah. So the Surfer... Basically, like this fight continues.
The fight continues. Nobody gets anywhere. Basically, the last man standing is Captain America. And Captain America versus Thanos, the omnipotent god, is not going to be able to do much of anything.
That's right.
But he's got... That was a comic moment.
This is a great moment where Spider-Man just shoots a bunch of webbing into Thanos' eyes. And it's a funny panel, too.
Yeah, because he's monologuing, and then all of a sudden he just gets hit with a web in the face. Oh, and I always screw up. Taraxia?
Yeah,
rips off Iron Man's head.
Yes. So there are a couple of hints at grotesque violence here, because that's one of them. Taraxia comes back with Iron Man's head.
Yeah.
The other one is that later, do you see that... Taraxia jumps on Spider-Man here in this panel. So there's a panel of after getting webbed in the face, he gets a hammer, and Thanos gets a hammer in the face. But in the meantime, Taraxia is like got Spider-Man on the ground, and she is whacking him in the head with a stone.
Oh.
And then she comes back and shows Thanos a bloodied, gore-filled stone.
I didn't even notice that. That's unfortunate.
I noticed that right away. I was like, wow, he's just basically like Jokered him to death. Like that scene from like Death in the Family where Joker's just beating the shit out of Robin.
Yeah.
And all the blood's coming up. That's what that reminds me of. So it's these two deaths was where I first started realizing people are actually dying.
Yeah.
Because before it wasn't clear. Like it didn't. I wasn't sure whether folks were dying or not. But here, Iron Man's, decapitation of Iron Man and the bludgeoning of Spider-Man. I was like, okay, they're dying.
Yeah.
And then
Nova gets turned into blocks and crushed.
Yeah.
Thor's glass and gets shattered.
And
then you got good old Stars and Stripes there, just like going up against Thanos and wanting to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Thanos breaks the shield. Like, he's got no chance. And at that point is when
Silver Surfer
just says, go!
Yeah.
And he goes, and what happens? He misses, basically.
He basically shoots across a light year as fast as he can and just misses the gauntlet.
Yeah.
And Captain America tries to punch Thanos in the face, and Thanos backhands him. And Adam Warlock is kind of like, okay, here comes plan B. I don't know like exactly what his plan is. And then all of the deities showed up. When he talked to Eternity, Galactus, and all of the Celestials. All of these guys show up, and then we have another massive brawl where it's just like things exploding, lasers getting shot, like universes like being. I don't know. It's just. I don't know. It's just crazy.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Is crazy. There's it's very interesting. It's very interesting to look at too. The actual art is just like the scope of it is just crazy.
Right, and this is where the artist changed.
Yes, yeah.
And there's a noticeable change. I don't know if it's not bad.
No, I was going to say
good. It's different.
Yeah.
Than George Perez's style.
Right.
And I don't know like what exactly happens here. Like they basically each deity tries to attack Thanos in their own way.
Yeah, I mean they all have their own specialty, right?
Yeah. So
what the things that they control. So that was there was the interesting love and hate. Yeah, they basically start attacking his mind, and then he kind of realizes he's like, "What madness is this?" And then he just
breaks out of it.
Yeah.
And Death attacks him.
Yeah.
And then I don't get what happens here. Death attacks him, and he says no, because then all of the deities attack him, and then suddenly he puts them into stasis.
Yeah, he basically just freezes them all in place. Meanwhile, Uatu is just like, this is bad.
Yeah.
He's just watching.
Yeah, so he manages to put them down, and like they don't explain it.
No, I think it's just.
He just
I don't
comes
think
out
they need
smiling.
To. Yeah, he's
all.
just basically is able to say, "Fuck it, I got this," and he just puts them all down. But then he has to fight Eternity.
Yes.
And Eternity is not such a pushover. So they fight, and then it turns out he basically, I think he kind of takes on the mantle of Eternity, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he becomes he projects himself out and takes over Eternity, I guess. And that's when I think the coolest thing happens.
Right.
I think this is actually a really cool moment.
Yeah.
Which is where Nebula notices that he's left his body because he's fighting Eternity. And his body has been left there, and the gauntlet has been left unchecked. And he walks over and literally just takes the glove from his body.
Yeah.
And puts it on and restores herself, because, again, reminder that she's been charred the entire time. And basically makes him disappear.
Yeah. Sends him off into space.
Yeah. She's basically like the Kevin McAllister of this story. I made my family disappear. And he and Thanos and Taraxia, his creation,
faux bride.
Yeah, his faux bride, his creation, go flying into space, and she can't breathe in space. She dies.
Yeah, that was an oversight.
Yeah, that was a poor design.
Yeah,
he could take another shot at that and fix that.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
And then there's some funny dialogue. I think this is funny dialogue. Again, this is all like hyper dramatic dialogue for Thanos, but like. He's like an eternity of... Now he's floating in space because now his granddaughter has the gauntlet. And he says, an eternity of drifting helplessly in space. An infinity to mull over on my sins and follies. It's like... So he's just going to float in space and just like...
Doesn't sound like he's got much of a choice.
Do a retrospective for eternity. And then this is another... I don't know. I love this stuff. Doctor Strange Adam Warlock tells Doctor Strange to teleport Thanos into Doctor Strange's living room.
Why not?
And he shows up, and now Thanos is in Doctor Strange's living room, and they have this fight. Surfer attacks him, and then all the other heroes come in and separate them. But then we get the funniest picture in this entire book. That. Where Thanos is literally after the fight. Everyone's like, okay, is everyone cool? We're all cool? Let's just sit down and have a coffee. He's sitting in a wingtip chair, and there's like a 3-person couch in Doctor Strange and sitting next to like Doctor Doom. And it's just the funniest thing to look at this, to be like, I can't believe they're all just chilling in a living room right now with the guy who killed half the universe.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there. Like, he's...
Exceptional posture.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
No, I know, but it's more like the reaction of him being there isn't really startling to anybody. No, it's like... It's just like a non-reaction.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah. Anyway, so Adam Warlock is like, hey guys, Thanos is going to help us out. And they're all like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's cool, I guess.
So I want to talk about this, because
this is a great scene.
This is a great scene. It's the most interesting thing about the character Thanos to me, is the fact that he has achieved, in the past, he's gone on quests for the Cosmic Cube, the Infinity Stones. In the past, he made another play at it, and then now with the Gauntlet. He willingly, he always thinks that he's not exactly worthy of this all-encompassing power, right? And he'll always try and go after it, but then when he gets it, he always kind of self-sabotages it for himself. So he's a very flawed character. Yeah. He's always going to be going to the finish line, but once he gets there, he's never sure if he wants to cross it. And then at some point, he just kind of lets something happen. So in this, it's revealed by Warlock to say, hey, listen, it's kind of you. This is on you, buddy. You let Nebula take it from you, because that's what you deep down wanted. This
is probably my favorite moment in the entire story, where Adam Warlock discovers, since he's the keeper of the Soul Stone, when he's the keeper of the Soul Stone, he says, I've glimpsed your stone. Your stone.
Your stones. St. Thanos' stones.
I've glimpsed your soul, and I know what's deep in there. It's, you're not worthy. You think you're not worthy, and you sabotage yourself every time. And I feel like this is a great way to write a villain who's constantly getting caught.
Yeah.
Or constantly, being thwarted all the time. It's a great way to say to explain that. And Thanos' realization that he sabotages himself all the time subconsciously. It's like it's heavy.
Yeah, he doesn't realize it until he does.
Yeah,
and
he's
then
like, no, it was a
shit.
mistake. Like I wanted the power. He's like, even gods I didn't. He's like holding his head. He's like, I will aid you. He says, and I was like, whoa, that was cool. That was a cool piece of writing. Yeah. So now with Thanos joining them, they come back and attack Nebula. And she captures all of them naturally because she has the gauntlet. But what they're reminding the reader is that Nebula is new to this. And this whole influx of information and stuff, godhood, she's still figuring it out. So Warlock's plan the entire time was to have somebody else get the gauntlet. That was the plan. And I can see that throughout the story. Trying to get the Surfer to get the gauntlet. Somebody else to get the gauntlet because he knew that Thanos was going to give it up.
Yeah.
Not on purpose, right. But like through this psychological, tick that he has. So she has the gauntlet. Now they have a chance because she's inexperienced.
Right.
And then they have this little powwow, and Thanos sort of convinces her to take back everything that's happened in the last 24 hours.
Right.
Because she's like, what you did wasn't right. We're going to erase it. Go back 24 hours. So everybody goes back to normal. All of the 50% of people that disappeared reappear. Spider-Man's alive. Iron Man's alive. He still has his head. That kind of stuff. But
she goes back to corpse.
She goes back to being a corpse.
Yeah.
But then she bounces back from that. And then but what else happens is that the deities are released, and like all this stuff happens, and there's more fighting, and there's more cosmic
melee.
Cosmic melee. That's what it is, and so she fights all of the deities on her own. They're bombarding her. And what happens here? Adam Warlock goes into the Soul Stone
right.
and uses the stone to disrupt the gauntlet.
Yeah, basically.
And I'm guessing he's able to do that because she's so inexperienced and can't stop him. And because she's also being attacked by all of the deities at the same time. So he disrupts it, the glove falls, and then everybody and their mother charges the glove. I love this scene where it's just like, everyone's here. They're all trying to get the glove. This is great.
Yeah.
Drax puts the Hulk in a headlock, and Hulk is like, "You idiot! I'm on your side." And they have these great panels, like really well constructed panels. At the end here, where it's like the glove is sitting there, and they're showing each of the heroes or villains reach for the glove, and then Adam Warlock is, "Fuck all of you! This glove's mine."
Yeah.
Puts it on.
It goes with his hair.
Yeah, it does. It really does. We get the most epic, basically Thanos is like, oh no, it's mine, blah, 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 give it back, like a baby, basically. And we get the Hulk and Drax trying to restrain Thanos. And we get this great panel of the epic double backhand.
Yeah.
His
double backhand on green guys wearing purple suits.
Yeah, it's a weird picture.
I feel like that would be on a scavenger hunt. You'd win the scavenger hunt.
That's right. Yeah.
Backhand, two green people dressed in purple.
Yeah, that's right. And Thanos blows himself up.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I don't want to be a prisoner. I'd rather be dead.
Yep.
So he blows himself up with what is seemingly a small-scale weapon in this story. He's like, I have a thermonuclear bomb attached to my belt. I'm like...
That it?
What have we been dealing with this entire book? And you're talking about a thermonuclear weapon? That's like a BB gun.
Yeah.
In this book. Cosmic, homicidal, tears across the universe, and this guy's got a thermonuclear weapon. Stars are imploding. Galaxies are being destroyed. Thermonuclear weapon. I don't know. Anyway, so it blows up, and what? Yeah, I don't know. I'll let you explain this part, because...
Which one?
What happens here, the old age home that he goes to,
So what is it? It's 60 years in the future, right?
60 days.
60 days. Sorry, 60 days in the future. So basically, Thanos survives, and
the thermonuclear weapon attached to his belt.
Yeah, he survives that. It looked like it was more of a show for him to get away and kind of think about think about what he had done. Really reflect on it. Because I think he was actually secretly really, really excited by the concept of drifting in space and having some time to himself.
Yeah, that's true.
And then on top of that, you have the revelation that he is indeed a very flawed character, way more flawed than he thought he was himself.
Right.
So I think that he just kind of wanted to take a little bit of time and, think about things. But
it's kind of a ridiculous ending.
It is. Like. It does kind of come out of left field. I remember reading that and I was like, Jesus, what? So yeah, I mean, you're not going to kill off Thanos. He's too big of a character.
That's true.
They kind of took him out of it just basically by saying, well, he's got to go into kind of retrospective mode and really think like, what are his motivations? What is he trying to achieve, and why does he keep letting himself essentially sabotage himself?
Right.
Like, that was kind of what I took away from this. And then there was a question he asks Adam Warlock, and Warlock's just kind of like, you always ask the same question.
Yeah, he says, the memory's dim. Why have you waited so long to gain vengeance? He says, must you always ask the same question? I suppose so. Confusing, isn't it? I seek not vengeance, advice is what I crave.
Yeah.
Warlock says.
Or at least that's what I thought. In hindsight, maybe, did Warlock kind of purge the memories from him potentially?
I don't know.
Yeah, I got to give this another reread. But essentially, like, though it ends with Thanos essentially being neutralized. I never read this as Warlock took away his memories, or that he didn't have, he definitely has some memory of what happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's got his armor and all that stuff too. Like, it's just, to me,
it's on a scarecrow.
It's on a scarecrow, exactly, which I thought was pretty amusing. But,
yeah, this is a strange ending.
I really got to reread that a few times, I think. Just really ponder it.
Yeah, so, are you nuts? This dude's a monster. And Warlock's response is merely a piece like all others in the mosaic that is my universe. Without Thanos, the picture is incomplete.
Yeah.
So they let him live on this like retirement home where he's like cultivating plants and has a Thanos scarecrow. And that's just kind of how this ends. What did you think?
I liked it a lot. I think it's some of the, like, it's on display a lot of the fun parts of, I want to say, like, early 90s comic books. Before things really got a little bit ridiculous. Like, you've got all the kind of the way that the speeches and the monologues are written. It's all very grandiose in scale. Everybody's super exaggerated, but not in a really hokey. Well, I guess it's a little hokey, but like.
No, it's definitely got the fun of comic books on display.
Yeah, fun is actually the best way to put it.
Yeah, and they really, one of the things I do like is that they really went for it on the power of the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. That is the weapon. But the problem with going with that kind of power level for the gauntlets, you kind of ask yourself questions as to, like, why doesn't he just do this? Or why doesn't he just do that? So I didn't want to fall into that trap and think about it too much, although they do make it relatively consistent, and he does, I said that once to myself, like, why doesn't he just do this? And then he did it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So, like, that kind of thing. So I think they try to, like, cross the T's and dot the I's, but when you're dealing with that kind of
scale, it's like, how do you jump, not just...
You can't tie all those loose ends up.
Exactly.
So I just kind of like push that off to the side and let it go.
And I think that in order to address that, the best thing that they could have done was kind of inject that that fallible quality directly into the Thanos character to say, maybe he didn't do it because if he did, then he would win.
Yeah,
he wouldn't have any problem.
I see.
And then you put Nebula or somebody into that spot who's inexperienced. She might want to do it, but I would think that there's a certain level of control that you would have to do anything, right?
That's right.
Because she had a harder time than Thanos did.
Yes, that's right. The only reason they won is because of her inexperience.
Exactly, that's right.
I remember thinking when Nebula takes the gauntlet from him, I was like, that was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding? That was dumb.
Yeah.
And then later, when he's having that conversation with Warlock, I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Exactly.
And there's that level of consistency there. Total curveball.
I remember discussing this with somebody. I think it might have been my brother, and I was telling kind of the gist of the story because he's not a huge comic book guy in terms of reading, but he enjoys them.
Yeah.
And he was like, "That's such a cop out that they just said, oh, he kind of let himself go." And I was like, I can see that argument, but that to go back to your point is without that argument, this makes no sense, right?
Yeah,
if he really wanted it, if you've got this gauntlet on,
that's right.
you can make it work. You can do anything.
You can bake anything you want.
You can bake anything you want so long as you only hold the pot for like a second, because outside of that gauntlet is not going to help. So we're sitting at about an hour and a bit right now, probably about an hour and 6.
Yep.
So what I'm thinking, we discussed the book and kind of like the inspiration for the film. So maybe we'll do another episode just on kind of maybe what we think is in terms of what might tie from this book into the Infinity War series.
Sure. Yeah. No. I mean, it sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, I think that's a logical starting point and ending point for this one.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, in general, I enjoyed it. I did have some problems with it. The art's really good. And both artists, I think, really bring their A game.
Yeah.
There's some hokey parts, and I think tonally it's kind of a weird story. The throwdowns kind of get a little boring.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's just because there's like 4 of them, and they're all the same.
They're all the same, and they're all going to have the same outcome, and you know it.
Yeah, that's right. They don't make you think that these guys ever have a chance. There's always something else going on, and that's what's interesting, not the beatdowns. Right? Yeah. But definitely, I enjoyed it. It's that cosmic writing, like you said.
Yeah.
Hokey cosmic writing and the waxing philosophical wrapped in a really fun sort of comic context. And it's cool. And I think Thanos looks fucking cool.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's an easy read. Like, you blasted through this in, what, a day or 2?
I'm a slow reader. So, it was I read like 1 or 2 issues a day.
Yeah.
Like, that was it.
Yeah, I knocked this one out pretty fast, too. So, like, I definitely recommend, if anybody kind of wants some backstory on this before they go into the Infinity War movies, it's not a bad read.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. So that's that.
Cool. All
Infinity Gauntlet. Check it out. This is Justin.
This is Atul.
And we're signing off until next time.
See you guys.
I was going to say peace and hold up the peace sign, but I can't with the gauntlet, so bye!